Welcome back to OpenLine, talking about disaster response. We have Joel Sullivan with us, Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross in the Tennessee region. Very interesting to hear about how volunteers answer call after call after call. 75 plus volunteers from the Tennessee region are now along the southeast coast dealing with Hurricane Matthew. Haiti was horribly hit. You hear they're worried about a cholera outbreak in Haiti. What is the Red Cross response there?
The Red Cross is responding in Haiti along with our other international Red Cross partners. So the Red Cross in each country is chartered by that country's government. So it could be Red Cross in Christian countries or Red Crescent in non-Christian countries, and they have Red Diamond as well. And all of those are tied together through the International Federation of the Red Cross. And so when a disaster strikes, like the tsunami in Japan, the call went out to all Red Crosses, and when the need was put out there, those that could meet those needs did. In Haiti, since it's so close to the United States, the American Red Cross is one that's called to help in those areas.
Right.
So if you'll remember, during the earthquake, it pretty much destroyed all of the infrastructure, the transportation. People are still in tents there, and there could be more resources brought in, but you have to have the allocation of those resources. And being as small as it is, with as many people that you have trying to get in and help, sometimes you can get too much help. So you have to really plan for the response. You were asking a while ago, how does the U.S. do? The U.S. is constantly planning for that disaster. In Haiti, they're currently responding. The American Red Cross is there along with others, Red Crescent societies as well, who are responding there to help prevent those outbreaks and make sure that the medicines are there and the clean water is there and the supplies. With the damage to the roofs and the houses and that type of stuff, we have to give them temporary housing, which in Haiti has usually been the tents that are provided.
Do we in Tennessee have anyone there?
We do not have anybody from Tennessee in Haiti.
What is your biggest concern? What disaster worries you the most here for us in Tennessee? Would it be that earthquake along the New Madrid Fault? Would it be another flood? I'm sure they're all. But what is there one that just keeps you up at night, logistically speaking, that would be the most difficult?
The earthquake is the one that's going to be the worst, and it's not a matter of if, it's when. It's 200 years since the last one. Mississippi flowed backward the New Madrid Fault. When that happens, everything, the experts say that everything west of the Tennessee River will shift and sink in the silt and pretty much be unusable. And everything past that point will shake and rattle, and in Nashville we could lose power and towers and those type things. At a 7.5 is what we planned for, a 7.5 on the Richter scale. So my preparation for that is, if you lost everything that was powered, what would you do? And I say you've gone back to the horse and buggy and bicycle days, because that's all you got.
Right.
You could have a handheld radio, and if you have a ham radio, you can communicate with other areas, or you can get in your car. And people don't realize that when the power's out and everything goes dead, the best source of information is in your car, and it's in your driveway. Until it runs out of gas as well.
Right.
So the key is, those are the very worst situations as far as a disaster like an earthquake. Now in Tennessee we plan for that on an annual basis and sometimes more often, but really what we plan on are the three things that happen to us quite a bit: flood, ice, and tornadoes.
Right.
And every year we get those. And so we plan for those because those happen most often. From a not sleeping at night standpoint, when you're in this business, you got to sleep sometime. So I know we're prepared, and I know the call will come, and the volunteers are the ones that are going to be coming. So they're the ones that the call goes out at 2 o'clock in the morning. We have a house fire. They get out of bed. Think about a 10-degree night. Those volunteers get out, go to that fire, and make it happen.
So there's a house fire in Wilson County. Family loses their home. How does that go out? I mean, is there someone on call? Are there people on call? And they know if there is a house fire in this general area, then I would be called out. Is that how it works? And how many people would you call out for a house fire, a family of 4 or 5 or whatever, and they lose their home? I think it's so great you all do that. That is so valuable, so comforting to know, because I can't imagine being that family and losing everything. But I see it. I've covered it.
Yeah.
And so you all are there. But how many volunteers go out there? How do you get that call out there? Were they ready for it? You know, walk us through that.
So the volunteers have been prepared. You notice we have a common theme here, be prepared.
Be prepared.
So the volunteers are prepared, they're trained to do that. Generally 3 to 4 volunteers will meet up in a central location. They will get in one of our emergency response vehicles. You've seen the ambulance looking trucks. They will go to that scene, and as everybody else is leaving, the Red Cross is coming in, because the fire department can't stay there. They put the fire out. The family meets with the Red Cross. We determine what those immediate needs are. Once again, food, clothing, shelter. We make sure they get shelter. If they have family to go to, they may go there. We put them up in a hotel. If it's an apartment fire, there may be enough. We open a shelter to take care of them. And then once the next day arrives, the volunteers transfer that information over to our caseworkers, and we follow that family until we feel like they're back to normal, whatever their normal is, and help them with our partners. Once again, it's a team effort. So we might team up with Goodwill to help them get clothes. We might team up with Second Harvest Food Bank in that group to help them get the feeding that they need. Lots of partners play a role in a family's recovery.
And how many people would go out to that? 2, 4?
3 or 4.
3 or 4?
Yeah.
And what kind of commitment, again, are we talking about? I think there might be people out there watching who may want to do this,
yeah,
who may be inspired by the fact they can really make a difference,
mm-hmm,
and volunteer and go in the midst of some tragedy and really help someone. So you said there's training involved, but what kind of commitment are we talking about?
The commitment is as much or as little as you would like. For people who are working a lot, their commitment can't be as much as somebody that's retired that can do it all day, every day during the week. For our disaster action teams in Nashville, the volunteers, the day volunteers, volunteer to cover fires during the day, and other volunteers cover the fires at night and on the weekends. So if you want to participate on the disaster action team, you go to redcross.org. You sign up, become a volunteer. We bring you in, put you through the orientation and the training, introduce you to the folks that are already doing it, and you become, so to speak, an apprentice on that team. And so the disaster action team captain will bring himself or herself and a member and an apprentice or a trainee. They go to that fire and take care of that family, and then on their way back they debrief so that the new person understands, why'd you do that? Why did we do that? How can we do it better next time? So you're constantly, constantly improving the process each time you go out, and then by that time they've caught the bug and they want to continue to volunteer. Now, if you've got extra time or your employer allows it, you can deploy to these disasters for 2 weeks or more. It can be as easy as answering the phones during the day from 8 to 5. It just depends on what the need is of that volunteer, and we've got a job for everybody, and it's easy to do just by logging into redcross.org. How
many volunteers would you say you have right now?
Across the state, we have about 4,300 volunteers.
Wow. And I would think they sometimes they're more active than others.
They are.
Is that right?
They are.
You have some that are there for everything, and some that, you know, a few years ago maybe they were there. Now they've kind of rotated back a little bit. Is that right?
Right.
And if you, let's say, the least amount of time, what could you say? Okay, I just want to volunteer on weekends, or how would that go?
Right. You can do that. You can be part of the disaster action team, and we'll schedule that. And we know you've told us in advance, I can only do Saturday and Sunday. That's fine. A great thing for volunteers who want to do things on the weekends is our home fire, our home fire campaign. And that's where we, across the nation, are installing smoke detectors in homes that don't have smoke detectors, or making sure the batteries work. And so every Saturday in October, we're installing smoke alarms across the state and across the nation. And we do it during the week too as well, but for those volunteers that want to work on the weekend, that's a perfect opportunity to go out and save lives, and we've proven it saves lives. Because if you think about it, when you're asleep, your head's about 2 or 3 feet off the ground and smoke rises, right?
Right.
By the time that smoke gets to where you're sleeping, it's probably too late. But if you have a smoke alarm that's working, it goes off almost immediately, and you at least can get out, if not put the fire out.
So 4,000 volunteers, how does that compare to other states?
It's one of the top states, because obviously we're the volunteer state.
Yeah, we're the volunteer state. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, if you think about the flood, General Red Cross Response will have about 28% of their volunteers local in a disaster, because the volunteers are affected as well. In our flood, we had 78% local volunteers. And so when they asked about it, they said, "Are you sure? You know, normally this average is 28-30%." I said, "You do realize this is the volunteer state. We take care of our own," and we did.
That's great. The flood in Nashville, you were just in Baton Rouge. I mean, what are some of the, I guess, toughest, best memories? You know, what inspires you about what you've done? If you look back on the years you've done this, you know, what are some of the things you've responded to that stand out?
The resiliency of people, and you can see them. Sometimes they're crying, sometimes they're laughing, sometimes they're just kind of neutral and stone-faced, but they all have that need to get back to normal, and that's what the volunteers do, is get them back to normal. So if you look at a house fire, when you're standing there looking at nothing and it's your life, what do? How do you make a difference? So you put them in the truck, give them a blanket, give them some water, and just tell me what you need. Because I don't know what you need. I know what I would need. And they usually will tell us, and then we recommend some things. Oh, I didn't think about that. In the flood, you know, they didn't have anywhere to go. You couldn't get back to your home. Even if your home was on dry land, you couldn't get there. In other areas, you were at home, but you couldn't get out because your neighborhood was surrounded by water. Mm-hmm. So we have to take all those things into consideration, and I think Nashville did a great job. I mean, we got a lot of bass fishermen, so we had a lot of boats. we just got our own people off the roof and provided supplies to others. But the key is, the success is, if you're prepared and you take care of your neighbor, it happens to move along a lot faster than if we just become victims. Mm-hmm. And so you've got to have a want to make it better. And we had volunteers who couldn't get to their homes, who volunteered 24/7 until they could get back to their homes.
Now, see, that's amazing. That's great, though.
So I'd say it's those stories that make the difference.
That's great. All right, we're going to take a break. If you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.